Hi all, and welcome to our webinar. Today we are excited to show you what's new in StreamBIM so far this year. And we are proud how much our developers has done. StreamBIM is already packed with useful features you need in your projects. This enables you to tailor your workday with smart functionality and integrations. As always, with our user-friendly focus intact. Today's presenter is our Chief Implementation Officer, Rupert Hanna. Rupert is going to pack the next half hour with a demonstration of our new features. But first, just some practical information. If you have questions, you can write them in the Q&A section and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. Or you can send an email to me or Rupert after the webinar. We are recording this webinar so you can see it again later or send it to a friend. All right, Rupert, I'm going to give you the screen right now.
Thank you, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a quick look at the agenda for today. And so, yeah, what we're going to be looking at today is basically this agenda. Some of these things might look like they are features that we've had for some time, but we've been tweaking these to the extent that I think it's really worth paying a second visit to them. And this might look like a bit of a mixed bag of things to present, but there is a logic in the order that I'm presenting them in, which hopefully you will understand as we go through the webinar. So I'm going to kick off with a talk about geolocation. And one of the reasons for that is that geolocation is basically something you do at the start of a project, and if you set it up right, then you get a good project moving through the whole of the project. So let's find a project to look at this on. I've basically kicked off with a completely new project in a way. So I've taken our office building, a very rough IFC file here, and I've loaded that up, and you can see in the background a DWG file. I'll talk about that in a little while. So when you first come to the project, you will see something like this. You've processed one file, and the geolocation, very often, probably some of you seen this, when you go to the project settings, the geolocation is, for some strange reason, in Boston. So the explanation for that is that Autodesk have an office in Boston. If you create a project in Revit, an Autodesk product, and you do not change the address of the project, then it has a default address which is somewhere in Boston. So the tip here is basically, obviously in Revit, change the project address, or potentially if you're using IFC4, change to a recognized coordinate reference system, CRS, and that will come out with the IFC file, and then you will not get this result here. But we can fix this in various ways. So if I go to click on set location now, you can see I've got a few choices here. I've got some up here. I have the possibility of choosing a different projection. Right now we have this custom projection. So I'll show you how to fix this in a manual way. So here we are. We have a project location which is in, like I said, in the middle of Boston somewhere. I can do various things here. I can basically zoom out and put that project somewhere else. I could, zoom all the way out and say, right, I want to be over in, I don't know, London, for example, or let's see where we get to. So you can basically place the project anywhere. Let's try in Madrid, for example. Then I've got my project placed in Madrid. Obviously, it's not the right place for it, so it's not ideal, but that's, if I submit now, then my project will be placed in Madrid, and the maps that you see around the project will be in Madrid. I also have this option of using my GPS location. So if I click on that, you should see that it then brings us pretty close to the renderer headquarters here in Erkan in Oslo. It's not exactly on our office, but it's not bad, and then I can adjust that if I want to. And you've got the same A and B points here, so I could say, okay, I want to adjust A to here, B to here, and that is, oh, actually, that's the basement there. So if I go to the third floor, then I see the actual outline of the office, and I can basically set this up so that it's adjusted to the outline that we're seeing down here. And then I can submit that. And now I've got a reasonably well manually placed office, if you like. Sorry, manually placed project. And if I update that, we should see in the map view now that we are sitting in Erkan, yeah, which is, that worked. The other thing we can do, like I was saying, we can use these, if your IFC file has the correct CRS defined in it, we can basically use these CRSs. So if I then reset my location to somewhere a bit wrong, let's say up in the middle of the forest north of Oslo, submit that one, we should then see that the map goes to a place in the middle of the forest. Yeah, here we go. So this is just to demonstrate the final part of this. If I go to my geolocation and I choose the, sorry, no, not here. If I go to the geolocation, I choose the correct CRS, this one here, NTM zone T, zone 10, sorry. And now we should see everything is really nicely aligned. So we're now back at this office here, and we have our model floor plan. If we just have a look at the model floor plan, just there, we have our map here, and everything is the way it should be. So that's how to work with geolocation. You've basically got two main options, which is one is to manually geolocate, either by placing the project at the right point in the world map, or by, if you're actually working at this project site, you can use the GPS to get you pretty quickly to the right place. You often have to do a little bit of adjustment because GPS positioning on PCs is not the same as GPS, is not as accurate as GPS positioning on smartphones and tablets. But there you go, there's a quick guide on how to do that. Now, the reason I've done this, if we think back to our agenda, is that we have a feature which is called combined, which is basically allows you to combine these 2D floor plans. And that is available at the top of the 2D background choice list. We added some time ago satellite and map, and for those projects which have set up ortho photos, you can have an ortho photo in there and the model floor plan. You can also have PDFs in here, of course, but let's just have a quick look at how this looks on a if we customize this. So by customizing, what we can do is we can basically add together several sources. So we might want to add together, for example, the map and the, or let's change it to satellite actually. So we go for satellite. This is a fairly intuitive box for making these choices. So we go for a satellite view and we add into that the model floor plan, and we'll have a look at what that looks like. So we now have basically our model floor plan projected onto a satellite view and all nicely coordinated. Sometimes these sources are a little bit, they kind of override each other a little bit. So if we say switch on the map source here, we'll probably find that this starts to get a bit confusing. Yeah, because basically we have a here we have a prioritizing. So map is above satellite, so therefore it hides satellite. So if we, for example, take the map and make it slightly transparent, we should then see the satellite and the map on top of each other in this kind of situation. And I'm showing you this initial project here. If I go to a project which is in a bit more of a ready state, this one, which the building which I've called Webinar June 2024, we can have a look at this with a PDF view. So I've set up this project in the same way here. And if I want to, I can now switch on, let's see, we go to the floor which has the aligned view. So third floor, and we have an aligned view with the PDF drawing here. So much the same as with any other PDF drawing, we've put that on as an aligned view. If I now go for the custom situation, I can say, right, I want to see that PDF together with map. So we then get this situation here where we've got the we have the we have the PDF drawing. I'll just flip that round, and we've got the PDF drawing with all the spaces in the office shown on it, and we have the map in the background. If you have an ortho photo, you can do the same thing with orthophoto, and obviously you have to choose what's practical to practical to display in this 2D background. How many sources you want to put together. Probably more than 3 would start to get a little bit confusing, but you can adjust the transparency of each floor there, or each 2D view to make it more of a useful view. So that's a little bit about our merged 2D sources. Just to give you another example of this, I want to go to another project, so you get to see what this might look like in an infrastructure perspective. So let's go to the home position and see what we find. Zoom a little bit out. We've got quite a long stretched out project here. And so if we just turn that around, this is the model floor plan. You can see we've basically got a road project here and a tunnel running underground, and then an exit from that tunnel over here. So if I switch on the map view now, we should see quite a nice view. So okay, map by itself is basically just this, but if we then go for that custom view, we have the switch on the model floor plan as well as the map, and we have this view here, which is a pretty useful combination of your 2D, basically your map content and the actual model projected down onto it. And you can also see things like if you open up capture, you will see where the capture points have been added to the project on this view. So it's a very nice way of working in a bigger area than just inside a building if you are working on a stretched out infrastructure project. Okay, so a little bit about, that was a quick view of the geolocation and a look at the merged floor plans. You can also, a quick thing which I wanted to mention here is we have an interesting feature for working with 2D DWGs in this situation. So if we go back to the initial state project, where I have brought in basically we go to the 3D view here, I've brought in what is basically a architectural model, somewhat incomplete architectural model made from a scan here. And in the background, you can see a 2D DWG. Now, typically these 2D DWGs, they're drawn at height 0, which is not amazingly useful, because if that comes in at height 0, then it's way below our project. So we've put in this feature, which, hold on a second, let's get that up to full screen again. Yep, put in a feature which allows you to lift up that layer. So that is called edit layer offset elevation. And here you can basically choose a layer that you want to move up. And if I give this one a height of, say, 95 meters, let's go for 92 actually, and try that. And we should then see that the DWG is now at the same height as the building here, which means we can do some pretty useful things with this, because now we can do stuff like measure from the, let's say we can do measurements between the elements in the DWG drawing and in the IFC file here. So if we go for a 2-point measurement, something like this, and we've got a couple of new features in the measurement, which hopefully you've had a look at. We have a snapping assist, which helps you to find edges and corner points at a bit more of a distance. And we have a perpendicular snap here. So if I switch on the perpendicular and I go for that surface there, I want to measure out to this line. Obviously, I have to switch off the perpendicular when I get to the line, because these ones aren't quite matching. And now if I click there, I now find that the distance between this point on the line here, and which is a center line of a road, and the building is 8.6 meters. So I can basically get some pretty useful data out of these, this measurement data out of these lines. As you can see, I can measure between lines from the DWG drawing and between elements in the IFC. And if I had a point cloud in here, I could measure to point clouds and so on. Okay, so that was a quick dive into the new sort of DWG features. Hopefully you find this quite useful. You can obviously use your imagination about how you can use these, how you can use this in practice. So moving on then to the next item, document hyperlinks. So document hyperlinks, they've also been around for a while, but we've recently added something new to them. So in this case, we have a project where we have a, zoom a little bit out so we get a perspective of this. We have a kind of, it's a hospital project. We have an aligned floor plan. And what we've done is the document hyperlinks, which, if you remember, the document hyperlinks are basically built up by recognizing patterns of letters and numbers in the drawings, that in the PDF drawings. So basically this is done in the background in StreamBIM for you, if you like. You don't actually have to set up these links yourself, as long as your data is well enough organized. Basically the text information in the PDF matches with the file names on the files that you have in the StreamBIM document repository, then this will work. So if we now have a look at this floor plan, zoom a little bit in, we should see something magical start to happen. So as we get in close enough, we will start to see tags appearing on these drawings here. So here, for example, we have a reference to a drawing, and if I click on this reference here, I can now open that drawing. So I go to that drawing and I find that opens the drawing up in that viewer. I can then click further onto further references, or I can go back to the exit to the model here. And that's one that's referred to a drawing. But if I go and click on one of these details here, we should find that that brings up a wall detail telling me about the construction of that wall. So if you put in the effort to organize your data in organize your PDF details and so on in a good way, then you will find that you can basically get these references to work automatically between PDFs, and also link directly from your aligned floor plans, making the data a lot more easily available. For example, for let's say a craftsman working out on site, then if he's zooming in on the aligned floor plan, then he's able to get to this section drawing without having to actually open up the documents and search for that section drawing. He can then just click on that and away you go. You're in that drawing. So that's the new one on the aligned floor plans there. Right, just hopping back to my notes here. Right, next on the list then is the last two items here, measurement and support. I was basically thinking of adding in as footnotes, as I've already done. So the major thing I want to talk about now is custom views. And we think this is a pretty big thing, and we hope that you're already using it. But for those of you who haven't used it, hopefully this demonstration will be of inspiration. So let's have a look at some custom views. I need to get to another project. No, sorry, I need to do that in here. So here we go. This is Bus 2 in Bergen, the child and youth hospital facility. As you can see, I've also made a combined floor plan here with the PDF drawing up on top of the map. And let's have a look at custom views now. So we can have a look at the 3D as well. And if we have a, yep. So custom views is available down here. It's represented by a set of binoculars. Right now it says beta on it, although it's getting to be a well-tested feature. So we'll probably take that beta label off pretty soon. If I click on it, right now I'm working as a administrator on this project, so I can basically see everything on the project. And obviously that means that this is quite a comprehensive view that I get here. Over time we've demoed using this project a few times, so there's quite a few different custom views on it. And if I open a custom view, let's try one of these ones under webinar. It will take me to a ready-made view. So now what it's done is basically taken me to a view where I have tagged up all the lighting objects that need to be installed, and I've colored them according to which circuit they're connected to. You can see from this color coding here. And I've also added in a couple of useful pieces of information about the height they're going to be installed in, what sort of situation they're going to be installed in, and the circuitry they're belonging to here. As I zoom in, just the same with normal 2D tags, you get to see the tags get more and more populated as you get closer into the area. So the trick behind the custom view is basically, if I create a new custom view, let's reset that, go back to this position here. So I'm going to add a new custom view. I'm going to call it webinar demo. And I'm going to I'm going to allow it to be seen by this group called webinar. And if I just save one thing on it, say camera position, it's a very simple custom view. Actually, we'll do that. And These are all the things you can save on custom views. So you can save which layers you have switched on and off. You can save hidden objects. You can save whether you have a clip plane there, whether there's an IFC search or so on. So you can basically create views ready for certain disciplines or certain types of production that are only exposed to those people. If I just create this one, it's a very simple custom view, and then I go back to my home position, maybe, and then go back to my custom view, click on the demo one, it will take me to that position that I just made. As you can see, there's quite a lot of other ones which have been created here earlier. What I want to do is I want to look at these webinar ones from the perspective of a person who can only see those. So if we go to a different browser, pop in here and go to this tool renderer. I'm now logged in as a demo user with a whole lot less, a whole lot fewer permissions. So now when I look at custom views, I only see these custom views. And I've got this one for webinar where I've split it into electro. I've got an HVAC one, and I've got one based on rooms. So if I click on, for example, doors, then I have a kind of carpenter view, if you like, which is basically showing me all of the doors in the building tagged with some useful information. You can flip between custom views, or you can flip back to your last custom view using this back button down here, or flip forward. It's basically like it's a bit like back and forward in a web browser. And if I have a webinar, if I have a view on, for example, if I have this one on, I can then click here and reset my custom views. So I've now basically, from a perspective of if I'm coming in as a skilled worker on the project, I would then say have just these particular things available to me. I probably wouldn't call it webinar. I'd probably call it like carpentry or steel work or plumbing or something, and expose that just to a particular group who can see those ones only, rather than the kind of the view that the administrator has when they're developing this, where they see a whole lot more. So hopefully that was a good explanation of how custom views can be used and be distributed. It's really important to remember to give the custom views to the right user groups in the project, so that you are then creating a really useful set of data which is readily available for that particular group of workers. So I'm just taking a quick look at my watch, and I can see that I've actually very quickly managed to fill the time that is allotted. So Kato, maybe we should open up for some questions now, if there have come any questions in.
Yeah, good idea. I have one question from Gaetego.
Mm-hmm.
Can you save as custom view?
Save as in duplicate it? Yeah, you can basically do you can open up a custom view. Let me see, which user am I using here? I am in.
You're in the demo.
I'm in the demo user. Yeah, I need to go to the other project. So it's a bit confusing using two different browsers here, but that one. Yeah, okay. So
some added information to that question is if you have removed layers and objects, then save it.
Yeah, so if we have a look at one here, I've got this one called lighting. If I open up the wheel here, I can basically make updates to the choices that I've have added here. I could potentially say, actually, I want to save the camera position on this one. And if I now click OK, this one is not only going to have the original parameters attached to it, it's also going to have a camera position on it. And to answer the other question, it is possible to duplicate these custom views and then edit them again afterwards. So you can, for example, if you wanted to take this electro one and you wanted to create something which is very similar for plumbing, you could then duplicate it and change a couple of the parameters in it and save it as plumbing, for example. So hopefully that answered the question.
I think so. And just to ask again a little more specifically, could you, for example, hide some objects in your view if you have a active custom view, and then update the custom view to save it?
Yep. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So that would be basically, let's do it. So we hide a few objects like a bit randomly here. If I now open up that custom view, wherever it was in webinar demo. If I just go for this one, demo here, and I say I want to update this with hidden objects, click OK, and then I go back to the home position, maybe move around a little bit, close that. And if I now open that custom view, which was called webinar and demo, we see that those objects that were there are now hidden.
Nice. Are there any more questions? I think maybe you have explained everything so good, Rupert. So everything is good.
One would like to think so, yeah. But as you said earlier on, we are really happy to get feedback and questions after this webinar, and especially on the subject of the geolocation. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of questions about that. So please feel free to contact us, and we will do our utmost to answer your questions.
Yes. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us, and please be sure to join our next webinar after the summer. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.